about 4 hours of searching for appropriate software, I finally found one that works. I'll still have to do some editing, but, should be alright. So today I thought, hey, how about I do a Christmas special? Not actually all about Christmas. Then again, that would probably help you sleep. But, so that, you and I can get lit. Now, I don't know if you know of one of the queens of ASMR, Maltz. She did a similar video, drinking some white wine. But, I'm a big fan of red wine. So, grab a glass and relax, and we'll have a bit of a chat. So, what I thought I'd do is something that you probably are not aware of at all, because many people watching the ASMR videos, I believe, are located in the US, whereas what I'm about to talk to you about is popular in Britain and Australia and New Zealand, namely Doctor Who. Doctor Who is my favourite TV series. I have done a couple of ASMRs about Doctor Who before, but in this one I'm actually going to go into some minor reviews of the classic series. So that means that even if you are a Doctor Who fan, you might only be a recent one, and you may not have watched the classic series yet. So I won't give away the endings or spoilers, but I'll just make some comments about different episodes, and drink some wine. So of course it's also a reveal video. So congratulations for watching this far. Alright, now we can relax a bit. Firstly, the wine I chose came from a very little known place in Australia called Dan Murphy's, and in particular a very rare section that barely anyone goes to, the under $10 shelf. So, but interestingly, it's not actually an Australian wine. If anyone who watches this already knows me, I've drunk huge amounts of Australian wine in the past few years, but today I'm actually drinking a Cabernet Sauvignon from France. Now, it doesn't actually specifically say... Oh, yes it does. Chateau de Gonesse Pesnes Sud de France. Oh my god, I need to practice my French. It won a medal in France. So, for under $10, this is actually quite good. And the other thing was, I've already opened it. Sorry. I actually also do wine videos, and I wanted to review it for the wine video, but also, I wanted to make sure that I didn't, spit all over the microphone if it was really bad. So I thought that was important. So anyway, topic of conversation to help you relax, and cheers. So, the series Doctor Who started in 1963, 23rd of November 1963. It was broadcast just after the news of the assassination of President Kennedy. So it had a huge amount of people watching almost immediately. And in those days, you didn't really have a chance to swap channels. There weren't that many in Britain, so it became an instant success. The series follows the adventures of an alien being called the inside is dimensionally transcendental. So the actual dimension is outside of our dimension. That means it can be infinitely huge inside a tiny little box, which is quite useful. So anyway, the main plot of the first episode is there's this strange girl at school that the teachers don't know anything about, and they think she's quite unusual. She seems to know things a lot of other students don't. They follow her home one day and find that she lives in this little blue box in a junkyard, 76 Dodders Lane. And they head inside and meet the doctor, and the doctor doesn't want any humans to know about their travels, and so he kidnaps them. And so this is quite a dramatic story because it's basically an alien abduction story. And of course, over the course of the adventure, the teachers get to know the doctor, and the doctor feels bad about the situation and wants to take him back, but unfortunately the TARDIS is not behaving how he would like it to, and they don't actually end up where they'd like to be. And that happens for a couple of years. So, that episode goes all the way back to caveman times, and we see a number of interesting situations with the dynamics of cavemen at the time, and some really good performances by people pretending to be cavemen. You know, most actors in the 60s weren't hacks. They were, from theatre or with years of experience, so you rarely got any bad performances, no matter how outlandish or incredible a situation. So even if the script was slightly unbelievable, the acting would bring it through. So yeah, that episode, Unearthly Child, The Tribe of Gum, was what started the series off in letterbox format in black and white. Great little episode. I would recommend, if you are going to watch it, to watch episode 1. Episodes 2, 3 and 4 are basically capture and escape situations and more about character building. So in this fast age of 3-second scenes, you're probably going to fall asleep within 15 minutes of watching episode 2, which is probably good if you're needing to sleep. So maybe it's recommended. And so, on to the next story. The next story was the big thing that set the Daleks going, and that story was called The Daleks. Actually, it was started off being called The Dead Planet. I couldn't tell you what the other episode names were, but the Doctor and team end up on the planet Skaru with the Daleks and the Thals. Now, the interesting thing about this one was the use of many of the claustrophobic sets and movements of cameras and angles to give a lot of fear and foreboding, as well as the deep sort of hum of the planet, which could probably also have been the Dalek city. It was all very disturbing, and so where the first episode was a little bit slapstick, a little bit crazy, there were a little weird, in the Unearthly Child one, there were some weird things about that. This Dalek one really got people realising that that's a show where you could actually be scared and hide behind the sofa at these alien creatures. So, one thing I forgot to say about Unearthly Child was that they actually made a pilot episode, which was filmed in a test screening the week before, and people said that it was a little, made the Doctor look too evil, and so they redid it. It wasn't really a re-edit, they actually reshot it, and so the new one made the Doctor a little bit more friendly. So anyway, so in the Daleks, Daleks, and the Doctor realizes he's put everyone in deep danger. He admits that there's actually nothing wrong with the TARDIS, and he just wanted an excuse to visit the city. But to escape the Daleks, there are some very, very long escape scenes, and they need help with the people of the planet who have been either they're fighting or they're enslaved or something. In multiple situations. Eventually, of course, the TARDIS crew get away. Now, we still haven't had at this point, a Dalek. The Daleks was a 7-episode story, so it was very long. But we still haven't had at this point any kind of character development to overcome the dislike of the Doctor by the teachers, and because they're very angry and suspicious with him, and the Doctor and his granddaughter Susan are also very suspicious of the teachers. So, not Susan, not so much, but a situation happens where, in the next story, Edge of Destruction, the Doctor and Susan go a little bit crazy, and Ian Chesterton and Barbara Wright also go a little bit crazy, and there's this big standoff fight that a lot of drama as a result of things breaking down in the TARDIS. It's actually a very, very nice set piece, Edge of Destruction, and if you've got a spare hour and you want to experience what can be done in a small room with 4 actors, it's definitely worth checking out. It was very, very well written. This is where, if you've got good writing skills, you can save on the budget of a TV series, because you just set everyone in one room. Okay, now, before I move on to the next one, I'd like to apologise because there are, even though I'm on the 18th floor of an apartment building in the CBD, you may be able to pick up some police sirens outside. It's Friday night. It sometimes happens. So, the next story is one of the most lavish stories in the history of Doctor Who. Marco Polo. It's quite a long story again. I can't quite remember the length. I think it was 7 episodes as well. It involves the Doctor and his crew having their police box taken by Marco Polo on their way to meet Kubla Khan. Now, we have to assume that Doctor Who happens in an alternate reality, in an alternate universe, of course, because I think historians can't actually prove Marco Polo ever went to Peking. So, there's only Marco Polo's word. So, we don't know whether it really happened. But anyway, in this story it did. And, obviously the Doctor eventually gets his police box back. But there are some interesting side tracks on this journey. But the biggest thing about Marco Polo is there's so many beautiful costumes, so many lavish sets. They really went through every single thing the BBC had to offer to recreate the historical period and location. And now you might be thinking, hang on, that was 1964. How on earth can you have remembered this, let alone seen this when you weren't even born and all the episodes have been destroyed? Well, about 30 years ago I got hold of audios of Marco Polo and listened to it several times, and I could hear a lot of the acting and the story plotline. I've also read the book, but you can also get hold of screenshots that were made of the telecine films, and you can look at those pictures only really think about the characters or acting and the sets that exist. But actually, there's set designers and costumers and makeup artists and hundreds of other people, and it looked like they did actually have hundreds of other people working on this series from everything that was in it. Okay, so for those of you who are not interested in the recreation of historical stories, you'll be pleased to know that the next episode was called The Keys of Marinus. And in The Keys of Marinus, the Doctor and team end up on a planet called Marinus, where they need to find some keys, funnily enough. And they encounter lots of different characters, lots of different situations. I've actually only seen this story once, which was about, 30 years ago. And I really don't remember much about it besides being pretty impressed with a couple of scenes. I have recently, when I say recently, I mean, by the way, I've only just recently found out that my software that I downloaded has limited me to 10 minutes. So, I'm guessing it's about to turn off. I just noticed I'm not wearing the right clothes for ASMR videos when I'm all squashed up in a corner here to be on camera. So sorry about that. I'll try and not move as much. Okay, so Keys of Marinus, fantastic. Check it out. I remember good things about it, especially brains in glass jars and creatures that look like later Cybermen crawling out of acid oceans, and there's so many other things. Yeah, definitely have to watch that again. The next one, which is something that many fans really enjoy for minor reasons, is called The Aztecs. And The Aztecs was almost perfect recreation of one of the worst times of Aztec history, with sacrifices and the emotion that the actress playing Barbara Wright brought forth about how she just could change time, how she could stop the killing, stop all the bloodshed, and how the Doctor had to fight her and stop her from changing time because you mustn't change anything, not one line. It was like just amazing. There were so many really beautifully acted scenes in that story, so many great sets, so many interesting ideas. But when you look at these little things, I mean these big things, this big picture, this historical thing, it's the little things in the history of Doctor Who that stand out. And if you're a fan like myself and you like all these little tiny tidbits that can add to your enjoyment of the series, then you will definitely be interested to know that in this episode the Doctor got married. Okay, so this is his first wife. Kamika, in Aztec tradition, actually offered the Doctor a cup of the cocoa bean drink. I can't quite remember the details, but anyway, apparently in Aztec tradition, when you do that, you're actually basically asking for their hand in marriage. So, by the Doctor accepting the drink and drinking it, he was instantly her husband. So, it's just this little thing that, these little things they put into the series that even years later you're sort of like, oh yeah, that was cute, I like that. So anyway, Aztecs, great story. After the Aztecs was the Sensorites, and like any Doctor Who story, there's going to be good things and bad things, and there were so many bad things about Sensorites. Oh my god. The people who put the Sensorite monsters together decided that, okay, they're just humans dressed messed up, but we need to make them less human. So how do we do that but still keep a humanoid shape? I know, let's cover their eyes over and give them big fat feet with no toes, and they can be outside in the vacuum of space and not die. That'd be awesome. And they have the technology to cut out a lock so that the Doctor can't get into his TARDIS. There was so many things in this story that already, even in the first season, might be second season, I'm not sure now, the first run of Doctor Who, even then they were already going against canon and causing problems for continuity. So, it's just going to happen, isn't it? So anyway, the actual underlying story, the metaphor of sensorites was actually quite good. So if you can get past some of these little details, you'll like the idea of the sense sphere and your idea of this community and sensorites being in control and how to overthrow them and things like that. So in that sense, the sensorites was, an interesting story, but there were just these little things, as a fan. No, please don't ever cut any locks out of the TARDIS ever again. There are no civilizations in the known universe that can do that. Alright, good. Okay, so the next one after Sensorites was the Reign of Terror, back to a historical. And you heard me mention before about Marco Polo not existing as in a video format anymore. In the 70s, the BBC destroyed a lot of videos to save space because no one would want these. These are just old recordings. 80s is when it started getting really popular that people wanted to see these old things again, but it was too late. So the Reign of Terror was another one of those. I think only episodes 1 and 4 exist or something like that. When I was much younger, I just wasn't interested in the historicals, but as I got a bit older and started to really explore, I realised how much work had actually gone into writing that script and putting that story together and making that very interesting drama for TV. And once again, if you like historicals, enjoy. Now, a weird environmental episode happened straight after that, and that's called Planet of the Giants, or Planet of Giants. So in Planet of Giants, something goes wrong with the TARDIS, and the Doctor and his companions are shrunk, and they are shrunk to the size of Land of the Giants people. So if you've seen the series Land of the Giants, and I don't know which one came first, I think Land of the Giants came after Planet of the Giants, but anyway, I can be corrected on that. You'll find that it's an allegory for people trying to sell dangerous toxic chemicals for agriculture and other things like that. And so this came about as a result of the DDT being banned when they realised how dangerous it was, how it just stayed in the environment. It just went from animal to animal to animal. So this was a reflection on that and reminding people to be careful of these kind of toxic things. So there was another thing about it. A lot of the things that happened in early Doctor Who did not have great special effects. Most of the stuff was done physically, so there were manual things like mini explosions or lighting done a certain way or technology moving. But in this one, they actually did some special effects to try and make it look realistic that everyone had been shrunk. There might have even been some painted screens and things like that. And of course, oversized items. So Planet of the Giants was a pretty cool episode. Now, straight after that was the big thing that changed Doctor Who's history, which was the Dalek invasion. Invasion of Earth set the scene for future Invasion of Earth episodes. This is where it all started. This was the big thing. They even recreated that story into a movie. But they did the Daleks first. But then they did the Dalek Invasion of Earth. This is what changed everything. Okay guys, back again. Another 10 minutes. So, it's now midnight where I am, about 12:09. And I was thinking, this would be the best time to do a video, you know. But actually, there's so many people walking back and forth because it's Friday night, and it's party time in a lot of units around where I live. So, you may hear some voices. Anyway, Dalek Invasion of Earth. What an amazing story. Oh my god, so many things happened in that for Doctor Who fans to talk about for years to come. Not the least that it's set in 2150, so none of us will be alive around then. Well, I plan to be, but I don't know about you guys. So, yeah, so the Daleks want to use the core of the planet to turn it into a spaceship, I think. Something like that. And they'd already actually taken over the Earth in 2150 when the Doctor and crew arrive. Most people are already under control. And so it's not like they had to prevent it from happening. It already happened. Human race was useless. And this lone guy in a box with a few people to help him was able to cause an overthrow of this entire invaded Dalek army. So from that point of view, you're just going to go, oh my god, how awesome is that? Okay, you can also say, nah, that's totally unbelievable. But, you know, just, it's fun, right? Don't forget, this is a children's series. And so, yeah, there was people being brain controlled, and there were some rebellious groups. There was someone in a wheelchair. There was Daleks going across the Thames. There were some iconic scenes that would burn into the minds of Doctor Who fans for years. Even if you watched it 20 years later, you'd be like, wow, that's just so awesome. And the overthrow scene is kind of a little bit quick. But everything else leading up to it was great. Now it is a slow burn episode. Slow burn story. It's about 6 episodes long, I think. But yeah, there are some scenes like the Dalek coming out of the water. Yeah, and of course, the biggest thing is the final episode. Susan leaves. Susan, the Doctor's granddaughter, leaves. Susan, a time lady, leaves and marries a human. So you gotta think, oh no, now we start the first, is it a trope, of companions leaving and getting married. And so, Susan leaves. The teachers are very sad. The Doctor gives his farewell speech. Go forward in all your beliefs and prove to me that I am not mistaken in mine. So he gives his speech. And the only reason I remember that is because I watched that particular segment at the beginning of an episode that happened in 19... Oh my god, how come I can't remember that? 1983. Yes, 1983, The Five Doctors. So, oh, I know why I can't remember that. Cheers. So, yeah, so anyway, so, it's really sad. Susan leaves. And then, in the next episode, which is a two-parter, called The Rescue, we have some anachronisms. Now, at the time of broadcast, The Rescue would have been received very well. It introduced a new companion named Vicky, and it introduced an interesting character that turned out to be human, and it was set on a barren planet, so it was a science fiction element thing. And there was a lot of character development, character interplay, character drama. But the thing that lets it down 50 years later, the thing that lets it down is this is a spaceship on a barren planet far away from civilization, and a crew member has managed to convince a girl who's working on this spaceship, who should have been highly trained with probably the equivalent of 5 or 6 degrees, has been able to convince her that he was a different character. And he convinced her with a tape recorder. Now, of course, in the 90s, I was still using tape recorders and cassettes. So for me, the tape recorder in the episode didn't really stand out so much. But it's now 2017 as I do this, and a tape recorder far, far in the future in a spaceship really dates it. It's really sad. And so, if you're going to watch The Rescue, I do recommend you just see it from the point of view of someone living in the 60s and enjoy it for what it is. There is some really great acting in that, and it's worthwhile checking out. Okay, now we come to The Romans, a slapstick comedy. This is where it had got a little bit too dark. There was this abusive tyrant crew member, people dying from Dalek attacks, and it had gone all a little bit really serious, and so it was time to lighten things up a bit. And yes, the Doctor is in some way responsible for the burning of Rome. So, the less said about the Romans, the better. But if you need a little bit of a laugh and you like light humour, I think you might like the Romans. Now, one of my big favourites, I love this story so much, and I believe the actor who plays the Doctor until about a day or two later, Peter Capaldi, as I record this, he's already finished acting, but the series finishes with him on Christmas Day in Britain, and becomes a new series with a new actress as the Doctor. And so one of his favourites is also The Web Planet. I've heard The Web Planet is my favourite Hartnell episode. I love this story so much, and the main reason I love this story so much is in the entire history of Doctor Who, this is the only story where the only humans are the visitors, which is what is going to happen if you are going to go and visit a planet. It's not going to be like Star Trek. It's not going to be like Battlestar Galactica. It's not going to be like Babylon 5. When you go and visit a planet in the future, when we know for sure aliens exist and we go and visit, they're not going to be human. Oh my god. Thank God Doctor Who actually did an episode where there is nothing human on the planet. So, Web Planet is my favourite for that reason. The second reason, the aliens are really cool. The Sabi are like ants. The Menoptera are like, Lepidoptera. They're like butterflies and moths, so they look slightly humanoid, but the costume removes almost everything human about them, about the actor, so that you can actually, if you have enough glasses of wine and you just let yourself go with the episode, you're going to really enjoy it. Have you, with all my speaking today, have you fallen asleep yet? I hope you have. If you haven't, I should do this, I guess. Alright, so Web Planet is this is 1964. They had people flying. And so, I really love that story. After that, we're back to historical again. And the next episode is called The Crusade. Now, The Crusade was a very serious story with some funny moments. Doctor trying to steal clothes and things like that. The next one was, though, and I was so excited by that one, it's called The Space Museum. I loved the idea that the Doctor and companions had skipped a time track. That was just an amazing concept for me as a kid when I first read the story in the novelization. And then eventually getting to watch the episode, it was like, wow, this is so cool. And so yeah, the TARDIS somehow skips a time track, which means that no one exists. They're like in a different dimension, and so they land on this planet and they go to a museum, and they're looking around the museum wondering where all the people are, but because they're slightly outside of space and time, no one can see them and they can't see anyone else. And so it's not until they encounter a future image of all four of them being in a possible future, trapped in 4 cylinders on display in this space station, that they realize that they're actually stuck in some kind of time situation, time problem, temporal problem, and they need to find a way out. And there's one scene where William Hartnell, as the Doctor, actually gets in a Dalek costume, Dalek model, and just that little cute little thing for fans, you'll see that image pop up here and there every now and then, Doctor pretending to be a Dalek. And more importantly, a very old man pretending to be a Dalek. Either way, it's pretty cool. So, yeah, Space Museum, I really enjoyed that one. Not sure about the eyebrows, so you'll find out if you watch it. Okay, now another story I really loved was called The Chase. And in The Chase, well, it's The Chase. What I loved most about The Chase is that they kept going to different places and different places and different places. And there were, all these different either aliens or characters or other situations. It was just, and Daleks were in it, and it's just so much fun. So it was very lighthearted. Okay. After The Chase was The Time Meddler, and The Time Meddler was set when I think the Vikings were going to invade or something a long time ago. But this was when I think this was the moment when they realized that they needed to include some technology in a historical to make it interesting, because the series was definitely becoming more and more science fiction. After all, they're time travelers, but the plan was never that the time travel was. Originally, it was suggested as a historical series, like teach children about history. But with time travelers traveling all over the universe, you can't really do that so much. Like, why would they keep going back to Earth? And well, obviously the Doctor's trying to get the teachers home, but they realised the ratings were in the science fiction stories. So now, whenever they brought out a historical story, they made sure there was a science fiction element. And so the Time Meddler was one of those, where you would think you're at some kind of Viking village, and they have to, actually I can't remember this bit, but the Time Meddler is actually another Time Lord, and he is stuck in that time for some reason, and the Doctor finds out about it. Now, the interesting thing about the Time Meddler is, I actually love the novelization, by the way. It's one of my favourites. I love the cover too. is that this was a time when the Doctor was on holiday. William Hartnell, who played the Doctor, was on holiday, and so because the series was constantly being recorded, this was at a time when Doctor Who ran almost all year, and so the series was constantly being recorded. The actors would have time to take time off, and so they would write that into the script. And so in Time Meddler, the Doctor took some time off. William Hartnell took some time off, and so the Doctor was not in much of the episode. So it was up to the other characters to carry the story. Now, there were some fun scenes in that. Definitely worth checking out for some of the fun scenes with the Time Meddler. So, now, after the Time Meddler was another of my favourite stories, Galaxy 4. Galaxy 4, oh my god, how awesome is this story? How awesome is this style of story? But, because my timer is about to run out, I'll speak to you about it in a second. I can't believe I totally forgot to talk about In the Chase. The two teachers, Ian and Barbara, finally make it back to Earth and leave the series, and according to mythology end up getting married. So that's pretty cool. And also in the Chase, Stephen joins the crew, so now they have Stephen and Vicky in the TARDIS, and they were the companions who went to Earth during the Time Meddler. Now, Galaxy 4 is about women who are the leaders of a race, and I think it's the Dravens, the enemy, apparently. Now, this story still does not exist. It hasn't been found anywhere. It was destroyed years ago, and there are no copies apart from audios. And it's important to me because when I was collecting all the audios of Doctor Who in the early 90s, Galaxy 4 was the last one to complete my collection. So I was waiting for a couple of years before I could actually get hold of that. So in that sense, to finally hear it was so amazing that it's probably made the episode even more important than it really is. But essentially, the idea was you had this spaceship full of very attractive women. You had this young male companion, very enamored by them. The Doctor really didn't see anything because, everyone's alien to him. And Vicky was a bit suspicious, I think. But eventually, even though Stephen was prepared to stick up for all the attractive women on this spaceship, it was found that actually they were the ones that were causing a massive problem for everyone, and they were the ones that were trying to convince that the ugly alien was actually the bad guy, when actually he turned out to be the good guy. Now, the likelihood of you ever actually watching that is pretty slim, because there aren't any episodes existing. There are only a few pictures that are still available, but it is available via audio now through the BBC, so if you're curious you can check out the audio. And so that was, as a young person watching that, to get the message that appearances and everything, it was a very good story for me. Okay, let's talk about Missions the Unknown, the only episode of Doctor Who in the history of the series that does not feature any of the main characters. It is set on a planet where there are alien plants that if you touch them, you turn into an alien plant. So, DNA modification was already alive and well in Doctor Who. And so, Missions the Unknown wasn't like a 25-minute, 30-second intro to the Dalek Master Plan. And so, Mission to the Unknown was a separate episode altogether that gave people an idea that there was something coming, something in the future, and nothing led on from it. It was like the 2-minute or 30-second beginning of a story, and then the story didn't happen. Instead, the Doctor and Stephen and Vicky end up in, I don't know the year, a long time ago, when the horse is brought into the city of Troy. Yeah, that kind of far away, far back in time kind of situation, because of course the Doctor goes to all the important situations that happen in Western culture. So, anyway, in this story, Vicky takes the position of a soothsayer and stays in the historical part of Troy and disappears into history forever. And when I discovered that, that was really sad for me, because my God, this person who's from the far future is really intelligent and travel around in spaceships and travel the universe wants to stay in the far past with no technology, no internet, no anything. It was quite a shock. Quite. It hurt. It did. That Vicky would choose this life. And then the Doctor takes on a historical person, a person with absolutely no idea about technology. And this was another thing that, as a Doctor Who fan, I'm like, yeah, look, any human being can be trained, but seriously, if you're getting a grown human who has absolutely no idea about technology, then you're gonna have to explain absolutely everything, and from a writing perspective, that's just gonna get really boring. So, the Doctor takes on a new companion called Katerina, and Katerina, who's has absolutely no idea about technology whatsoever, and may not even know what a water tap is, manages to accompany the Doctor on the next adventure with Stephen, called the Dalek Master Plan. And the Dalek Master Plan is 12 episodes long. It features the Time Meddler again. He's working with the Daleks. It features lots of situations with the future government of Earth wanting to work with the Daleks so they can take over different areas of the galaxy. It's quite a complicated story. There are a lot of episodes missing. You cannot see the whole Dalek Master Plan. I think there's only episodes 5 and 10 or something. But you can get the audios, and from the audio from the book you can get the whole story, but it's quite far-reaching and epic and complicated, and there hasn't been a story that long in a very long time until Trial of a Time Lord. But arguably Trial of a Time Lord were 3 separate stories with a conclusion tying them all up. Dalek Master Plan is one massive epic story where everything is interconnected and involves the Daleks and the destruction of time. So it's never been done in Doctor Who since. Now, those of you know that Jodie Whittaker is going to be joining a new series of Doctor Who where they are doing the new serial style, which is popular because of Netflix. You may be thinking that, well, perhaps they will have a season where everything's interlinked like the Dalek Master Plan, and considering that seasons are now going to be 12 episodes, it's quite possible that you'll get something like the Dalek Master Plan again. But, it's been a long time going if it does. And so, after this massive 12 episode epic, we get the massacre, where the Doctor goes back to the French Revolution, the massacre that has two versions of William Hartnell. He plays the Doctor, and he plays an evil French person. So, it's the massacre I was thinking of. Yeah, well. And so, now, if you were to get online and read the description for the massacre, you would probably think, oh my god, that sounds too boring. I can't possibly listen to 4 episodes of that, because it doesn't exist anymore. The video is destroyed. Only the audio exists and some pictures. But I highly recommend it because the writing is so good. The acting is so good. You know, if you really like a little bit of story and drama, and you want to actually get a feel, like you get a reaction or get triggered by something, you're going to find the massacre is going to tick those boxes for you. And once again, as a kid, didn't like it at all. As an adult, I really have high appreciation for that story. After the Massacre is another favourite of mine, called The Ark. The Ark exists in all episodes. It's available in book form as well. It is an interesting idea that is about slavery, and it is about the fact that no matter what happens, human beings tend to find people to be their slaves. We have this in our DNA. So this story is about how humans, once they had become equal with amongst themselves, found that the only way to get stuff done that they didn't want to do was to enslave another race called the monoids. And so by the end of that story, you are so going to be on the side of the monoids. So if you want a slavery story that is with a science fiction element to get you supporting the idea of no slaves in the world, then you really should watch The Ark in Space. But there are other things about it, like there's a new companion that gets into the ship just sort of randomly at the beginning of The Ark in Space, called Dorothea Chaplet. And she... what actually happens? I need to think for a second now. Yeah, so I think she just walks in. Yeah. Anyway, she's got a cold. And of course the TARDIS hasn't had a chance to remove any kind of viral infections. And so she takes her cold to the ship where the monoids are enslaved. And her cold spreads through the ship and kills lots of humans because that virus hasn't existed for hundreds of years. And as a result of that, the monoids manage to get their freedom and take over. And then it is up to the crew to try and forge peace or cause, a change in some way. There's lots of little cute things that happen in that story. Okay, so that was The Ark. Now, one story that I'm really not into, it's called The Celestial Toymaker. And I'm not really interested in stories where, oh no, we have to play a game to save our lives. No, I don't like these kind of stories. It's quite simple. It's just not challenging enough. Yeah, I think that's what it is. It's not challenging enough. And this was another holiday episode for William Hartnell. So his hand took his place. He remained invisible for, I think, an episode or two. And so, The Celestial Toymaker is not my favourite. However, The Celestial Toymaker did feature, I think, Michael Gall. And he's a brilliant actor. And is worth watching just for that. I don't think all the episodes exist. But definitely, if you don't mind a story where, hey, play a game so you can survive, is your thing, then yeah, check it out. After the Celestial Toy Maker was the Gunfighters, another episode I didn't like at all. I've tried to watch this, but it's just so full of really bad cliches and poorly acted jokes and just so derivative, and it's kind of like, okay, let's get every spaghetti western, have a look at all the tropes they use and pack them all into this storyline. It was like that. I just found it painful, and I've tried to watch it twice at different ages in the hopes that I can see something in the, apart from some really nice acting. No, Gunfighters, no. After that was the Savages, and I loved the Savages so much. It's definitely a representation of what human beings can do if they are in a highly technological society and know that all they need to do is take away some of the limits of a lower technological society to keep their higher technological society going. And it would also be quite easy to do that by preventing most of the civilization of that highly technological society knowing exactly what you're doing to make sure that the society continues to exist. And so there were some really interesting things about the Savages that I loved, and I highly recommend watching that story. After that was another fun story called The War Machines. This is the first time in the series that someone or something actually says the words Doctor Who. Doctor Who must be destroyed, I think is the line. And you just go, what? What? It's the Doctor. So, Doctor Who is the show. The Doctor is the character, just in case you are watching this and haven't ever watched the series. And so, in the War Machines, some supercomputer, highly intelligent AI creates these devices that actually start taking over London, and the Doctor has to step in and save everyone. This is also the episode where Dorothea, otherwise known as Dodo, leaves. And so, the sad thing is, she just didn't want to be in the series anymore. She was unhappy with, the actress was unhappy with the series. And they just had this situation where halfway through the story, she's suddenly sick and goes to visit her aunt. And that's it. There's no goodbye. She just disappears. And so, that's really sad. It's really, really sad. I wish she could have, as a character, returned at some point and, finished her some closure. I want closure with these characters. And so, this is also when, for some unknown reason, two new characters join the TARDIS. So at the end of the War Machines, the Doctor is about to disappear from Earth, and Ben and Polly stumble into the police box just as it lifts off. Of course, there's no adjustments made, and they end up somewhere else in the past, meeting the smugglers, which is like a pirate story. And yeah, I couldn't get into that one either. Oh, when I say watch this, a lot of people have gone to the trouble of making reconstructions. They get all the photographs and they got the audio and they put it into a video, and it's amazing the work they do. So in that sense, I'm quite excited to see when fans put so much effort into making something like that and when I say seen it. But yeah, I heard it, and I've read it, and I'm not excited. But directly after The Smugglers is the most important story in the history of Doctor Who. The 10th Planet. It features the introduction of the Cybermen. It features the regeneration of the Doctor from the second Doctor, from William Hartnell to Patrick Troughton. And lots of other little things. And so, the 10th Planet will always be one of the most important stories of the William Hartnell era. Now, what I think is quite interesting is that I have been talking about Doctor Who, and I didn't realise it's been over an hour. And so, I think that is enough whispering ASMR for you today. In fact, I'm pretty sure you've probably fell asleep at around 20 minutes. So I'd like to say thank you very, very much for listening to the my description or my comments and my reviews of the William Hartnell era of Doctor Who. And thank you very much for checking out my channel and also having a drink with me. I was thinking that I would finish this today, but obviously, yeah, I talk too much. And so, I plan to do another video at some point. I don't know when. Need to find the time. But I hope you have a fantastic Christmas and New Year. Are you still watching? Awesome. Okay, I got some news for you. Because you didn't turn off, I got a bit of a surprise. So one of the things I did over the past 2 years, I don't know if you know, if you're a Doctor Who fan you might, but I think it's November 2015, there was an amazing episode starring Peter Capaldi as the Doctor, and it was called Heaven Sent. Many Doctor Who fans believe this is one of the best Peter Capaldi episodes ever. In fact, many believe it's one of the best of the 2005 series. Since 2005. Well, I also think it's one of the best since 2005. So, what I did was I downloaded Stephen Moffat's script, and then I rewrote it, and then set up, I put something together. So basically, I acted out a number of scenes from Heaven Sent, not only a few, but I also acted out some scenes from other parts of Doctor Who's history as well. And I put these into an episode called Tutor Who, Heaven Sent with a C, as in 1 cent. And so, you can find that on YouTube if you do a search for Tutor Who, Heaven Sent with a C, C-E-N-T. You will find a video that I put together. So, in this video I kind of reveal my face a little bit. I've put glasses on and a hat. But if you're curious to see me running around the city, you can check out my attempt at acting. I'm not an actor. Well, not yet. I'm going to go to drama class very soon. Need to learn some skills. But this is a fan video, so if you want to check it out, it's not an ASMR video. It's quite loud with lots of music. So, but if you want to check it out, yeah, do a search. Tutor Who, Heaven Sent. You'll find it. So, thank you again for watching my ASMR videos. Really appreciate it. And I really appreciate all the people who put ASMR videos together, because they definitely help me to sleep. And I'm about to listen to one now, so I'm going to go to sleep. So, until next time.